Altered State Adventures. The Secret of Europa. Part 5. System, Sol. Location, shipping lane. Distance to Europa, 1800 light seconds. Quaid emerged triumphantly from the airlock and was promptly greeted by a selection of stern and unpleasant faces, each containing a mixture of anger, fear, and annoyance. The atmosphere on board was as cold as the short trip over here. His jetpack remained relatively warm from the crossing between one ship and the other.
"Hello, boys,"
said Quaid, holding up a small object in his left hand. No response came.
"I knew it. I just bloody knew it. I had a hunch and I acted upon it. You see this tiny little thing here? It's a tracking device. I planted it on your ship just before we left Mars. I just thought to myself, that cheeky little bastard would have some tricks up his sleeves. How is he anyway, your friend? He didn't look too good, did he?"
Apollo grimaced.
"What do you want, Quaid?"
"First things first, my dear boy,"
said Quaid, nodding to his bulky companion.
"My man here is just going to go visit the little boy's room, okay?"
And with that, the man disappeared into the depths of the ship.
"So, what now?"
said Apollo. But before Quaid could answer, Tin released an outburst of pent-up fury.
"Listen, yeah? Why don't you just bloody piss off before you find yourself in some real danger, eh?"
Emo grunted with no distinct change than his usual grunt, but those that knew him could decipher that this was one of unified venom and violence.
"Alright, easy guys,"
said Apollo, holding an arm out in front of both Tin and Emo.
Looks like we've got ourselves a fighter here, eh?
Tin stepped forward, his face exploding with anger.
"I'll give you a pissing fight."
Tin's voice was promptly cut short by an aggressive move from Quaid. One that took them all by surprise, yet one that was filled with definitive meaning, one of promised violence. Quaid's voice somehow managed to portray both calmness and malevolence as he spoke. His aggressive words, though, very much betrayed the fact that he was a man of little time. And as the cold steel barrel of an ancient .45 revolver rested against Tin's forehead, he said,
"Don't play with me now, boys. I have no patience for any of this today."
"Alright, calm down now, Quaid. We can..."
"Don't tell me to calm down, Apollo. Don't tell me to do anything. I give the orders here."
"Alright, what do you want?"
"The second part of the map."
"We don't have it. We don't have
I
it.
said don't play with me, boy."
We don't have it. I promise."
"Where is it then?"
"The storage containers. On Mars. We went to..."
"That was you."
"No, it wasn't us. That's what I'm telling you. The second part of the map was in the storage container unit. It was leveled by the explosion. The bloody building fell on it."
"So what? You're just flying blind, are you? Answer me, boy, or I'll blow his sodding head off."
"We know as much as you do, Quaid. You have the first part. All I have is..."
"What? What have you got?" "Don't push me too far, Apollo. I'm seconds away from pulling this damn trigger and wasting this fella."
"Now look, hold on, okay?"
Tin swallowed hard as sweat began to trickle down his forehead. In the background, slowly, Emo took a sidestep, small enough to barely be noticed, large enough that in a few steps more, he could grab his own weapon.
"Knowledge is what I have, right? And with your part of the map, we can figure this out together."
"What's that?
It's...
that pretty thing around your neck?"
"It's nothing."
"You keep touching it. It doesn't seem like nothing to me. I don't recall you having that particular item of decoration last time we met."
"Killian gave it to me. It's just..."
"You're not holding out on me now, are you, boy?"
"No, just listen, Quaid. This is all we have. It's an image of Titan. Look at it. The green ball, it's methane. The atmosphere. It's an old artifact, for Christ's sakes. It makes sense. It must be that. Now, with your map, we can figure this out together. That's why we're heading to Titan right now."
Tin's breathing became audible, for he had noticed something that Quaid had not, something that filled him with pleasure and also fear. Emo had taken another step.
"Titan, eh?"
"Yeah,
Whereabouts on Titan?
I don't know. That's obviously what the map was for. It's a 3-part puzzle. I have the location. You have the whereabouts, and the second part of the map contains who knows what. The exact coordinates, some code or riddle, I don't know. But together, we can find it all.
Together, eh?
Emo took his final step. Now all that remained was to pick up the Karma P15, but Quaid still held the muzzle of his revolver against Tin's head. The timing had to be perfect.
Tell me, boy, have you ever been to the other side of the galaxy?
Apollo shook his head as he stepped backward, knowing that Tin always kept a blade under his chair, his mind now too racing to find a violent answer to this encounter.
No.
Quaid's hand tightened around the revolver, his finger readied.
I knew a guy once. Traveled out there. To Beagle Point, I mean. Took a couple of months, I believe, with the stops and all that. Probably did a bit of sightseeing. Studied a few fungies, you know. He got there, though. At least I think he did. But what they don't tell you about such journeys is the loneliness, the isolation. The blackness outside starts to creep in through your eyes and infect your very soul. The echoes of your own voice are all you have, but they're lost out there too, those echoes of solitude. Danger can come in any form. A loose bolt head, a crack in your shield, an unexpected collision, and that danger changes a man. That sort of emotional pain changes a man until you crack, and you become a shell, a broken shadow of your former self. You ever felt anything like that, Apollo?
Quaid.
Apollo shook his head as he slowly sat down in Tin's chair. Emo's body tensed with anxiety. Tin could only hold on, as the sweat from his forehead traversed the cold barrel of Quaid's gun.
What about you, boy?
Said Quaid, turning his head to face Tin directly.
Have you ever felt anything like that?
Suddenly, Quaid's companion burst into the cockpit.
All done, boss.
Marvelous, said Quaid, dropping the revolver and stepping backwards towards the airlock.
We'll be off for now then, boys.
Tin, Emo and Apollo breathed a sigh of relief. The air was audibly stammered by the aggressive beating of their hearts. Nobody wanted bloodshed. Well, maybe Tin did, just a little, but that would not happen today. Now Quaid jested.
I'm sorry to say, boys, that I've got everything I need from you. It's been a good race, but it looks like I'm gonna win again, eh? Nah, I would say don't follow us, but there's no need because my friend here has just overcharged your power unit.
Quaid stepped into the airlock, his hands hovering over the door controls.
I suspect you'll have a few minutes to talk about things before your air runs out. Or maybe you'll succumb to the cold. But either way, I should also tell you that my other friend on board the lovely Python over there has already contacted the local security forces with your ship's ID and present location. So hey, heads up. You might be saved after all, eh? Maybe you can thank me later. Anyways, I'll be seeing ya.
And with that, the airlock burst into a mist that was soon pulled out into the darkness beyond and consumed in the vacuum, until nothing remained and the doors closed shut. The crew watched as the Python left them and turned its nose toward Titan. Apollo briefly examined the cockpit.
We have minimal power left. I'm surprised the bloody airlock closed.
Tin rubbed at the circular dent that still remained on his forehead.
Bugger it. Can you fix it, Emo?
Emo grunted and promptly disappeared.
Well, I do hope that was a positive grunt.
Hey, you never can tell these days.
Ugh, that pissing guy, Apollo. I swear one of these days.
Yeah, you and me both, Tin. But for now, we've got more pressing issues. And even if Emo does get the power back on, we've got security heading our way fast. I don't know how we're gonna get out of this one, buddy.
And in the grim darkness and expansive loneliness of space, a minuscule metal object floated aimlessly, its fate unknown, its crew suffocating, and its presence soon to be discovered. Hal Selvin had only moments before left the chaotic surface of Mars when the message came through. A distress signal had been picked up, but this was not for the caller. Instead, it was for another doomed pilot. But this message was different, distressed or not, for it relayed the whereabouts of known criminals. The response from the local security forces confirmed the ship's ID and promptly relayed an all-points bulletin for any nearby ships to investigate. The name of the targets lit Hal's face with a smile. He was close, and he was already heading in the general area, so he could surely be there before any responders. This was a hand he did not see coming, a twist of fate that seemed too good to be true, but it was one that he would surely capitalize on. Quickly, he shifted the Challenger's directional thrusters and applied full throttle, his eyes fixated on the empty blackness in front of him. Inside the Bunty, the air was growing colder by the second, but that very same air was also depleting as quickly as the temperature changed. Emo was somewhere in the bowels of the ship. The occasional clattering of various tools and electrical charges could be heard from time to time. Tin and Apollo could only wait, feeling helpless, feeling envious of those that had put them in this situation, and feeling anxious of whatever may come next.
Looks like this could be it then, Sunshine.
Always the optimist, eh?
You holding out much hope, are you?
Emo will sort it. He always does. I've never known a job Emo can't do, and I've known him for a long time.
Yeah. You two go way back, don't ya?
Feels like that with you too. Thought you were only going to be with us for that one job.
Yeah, well, me too. And I was planning on stealing it all the whole time I was running with you too.
Oh yeah? Why didn't you?
I don't know. I guess I kind of like the camaraderie, you know? Well, that ain't Emo's thrilling conversation. Well, at least we sent that bastard Quaid in the other direction, eh?
Yeah. He's going to be chasing his tail for some time, I reckon. Man, he's going to be pissed when he finds out.
That's another one right there. Seems like you've been butting heads with this guy as long as I've known you.
Longer than that, my friend. Believe it or not, I owe everything to that man. He pulled me off the streets, gave me a home. I ran with his crew for a few years, till I was old enough to go on my own.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Seems like forever ago.
So, what happened between you guys then?
That's a story for another time. Right now, we need to hope that things work out here. Save our breath.
I mean, don't forget, even if Emo does sort it all out, or even if the forces arrive here first, don't forget we all have bounties on our heads.
Well,
they'll probably just shoot first, get their promotions, collect their payments, and ask questions later.
yeah. You're right there. Come on, Emo.
And as if on cue, Emo appeared at the doorway, his face and hands stained and smeared with grease, oil, and a few bloody scratches. He pointed towards the forward control panel and released a nondescript, yet rather prolonged grunt. Apollo turned to face the panel, his face lit up with an orange glow, as the ship stuttered and came back to life.
Oh, yes, Emo. I knew it.
Oh, blimey. Great job, Sunshine. I never doubted ya.
Apollo and Tin shared a glance as Apollo smirked and nodded his head at the comment.
Come on, guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, mates. Europa, here we come.
And with the palpable excitement and relief that threatened to overload their bodies, they failed to notice the blip that had appeared on the distant outer ring of their ship's scanner. A blip that signified that someone had just dropped out of supercruise directly upon their location. Hal's ship shuddered as it came to a slow stop. He could see Apollo's Phantom in the far distance, but this ship was not the floating wreck it was supposed to be. Maybe it had been, for long enough that he could finally be within touching distance, but as of now it was back up and running. He could have intercepted, he could have relayed visual contact and called for backup, but he did neither of those things. Instead, he quickly flicked a switch and put his ship into silent running. Instead, he chose to follow his prey, for it would be easier to detain them on the ground in person once and for all. And as the Phantom's engine sparked back into life, Hal readied himself to continue the hunt. The end game was now in sight.